Water Quality of Mason Lake, Irvine, California, Part 1, History and Issues. This is a two-part YouTube series looking at the water quality of Mason Lake. It's number 14 in my Field Notes series. Part 2 will cover attempts to control and improve the water quality of the lake. It should be number 15 in the Field Notes series. You'll find out what these floats do at Mason Regional Park. Mason Lake is located in Mason Regional Park, Irvine, Orange County, California. Here's a map showing the park and the irregular-shaped lake of about 9 acres in size. Let's look at part of a contract in 2019 between Orange County and Aquatechnics for maintenance of water quality of Orange County lakes, including Mason Lake. I'm only going to read the first part of this long paragraph. The remaining part will be in my second water quality video. Mason Park Lake. This lake has one of the most complicated management issues of all the parks due to its shallow conditions, less than 6 feet deep, we will correct that, reclaimed water supply, excess nutrients, poor circulation, eutrophic condition, and year-round planktonic algae blooms. The common management challenges for the lake include poor water quality, excess surface algae scum, often requiring physical removal, nuisance odors, elevated inorganic nutrient concentrations, high waterfowl populations, public complaints, and other related hypereutrophic lake conditions. This is an urban lake, and it's difficult to maintain it. So let me tell you a little bit about its park history. The park actually was first named University Park before the name was changed to William R. Mason Regional Park. This graphic is from an interesting website showing the history of assessors parcels in Orange County. And this very left parcel is the one that the lake is in. So William Mason Regional Park consists of 33 of these parcels, according to the OC Public Works. 30 parcels are now owned by OC Parks, and 3 parcels have easements owned by a public agency. The western part of the park was acquired by OC Parks, as you can see, in February of 1970. The park opened this parcel to the public in phases. First the northeast segment in 1973, and then the lake and moor park area in 1978. Looking at aerial photographs, there is no sign of the lake in 1974, a year after the park opened. It's not a natural lake. A 1977 aerial photo of the area, however, shows the lake almost completed. Here's the 1977 aerial. It just covers most of the lake construction. This photo is from a free OC aerial website. It's really kind of neat. So it's just on the edge of the aerial photo. Now let's blow that up. Now if it's not clear where the lake is, I'm going to superimpose on it the map, make it a little bit transparent. I'll remove that so you can see that the lake is almost, at least you can see the contours. And in 1978, it was dedicated and open to the public, that section. So this is from the Tustin News from November of 1978. It says, the newspaper article, that it includes a 9.3 acre lake that recently was selected for a national award in recognition of the use of reclaimed water while still providing an aesthetic focal point to park users. It's kind of interesting because today that's considered a liability in terms of the water quality. It also contains a mini dock for eventual boating on the lake. That's interesting. The mini dock answers one of my questions about the lake structure. So here is a picture of the southwest side of Mason Lake. What are those concrete structures with wooden guardrails? What are they? And here another view. There are a set of stairs that go down to the lake, but it's blocked. This must be the mini dock they were talking about. I don't know if boats were ever provided visitors to the park. Maybe they had thought about rowboats or paddle boats or something like that. All it does today is provides a place where mallards can sit. So let's look at the Mason Lake water quality and what I was able to find about the water quality over time. Let's look at 1999. I'm going to show you a high-resolution aerial photo of Mason Lake. And this, I show you the website that you can get free aerial photos. They're not every year, but what is there is pretty nice. And I'm going to blow this up, 1999. And you can see, what are those cloudy areas? Presumably they're in the lake water. Are they algal blooms? It's very likely given the history. If so, it's quite a mess. Quite a mess. Year 2000. I found this LA Times article from November 7, 2000, titled, "Counties Fish Not Out of Clean Water." To promote oxygenation, most of the lakes in the county have aeration systems. One was installed a year ago, 1999, in the 9-acre Lake and Mason Regional Park in Irvine. That's 20 years after the lake was opened, where reclaimed wastewater with high nutrient and ammonia levels proved toxic. Not sure about that ammonia levels, and it's more oxygen problems. We'll find out. And so the person they're interviewing says, "We were having fish kill after fish kill in the 1990s. We finally said, that's it, don't stock it." The lake was being stocked. It was a fishing lake. Since then, water quality has improved enough that this month the lake will be stocked for the first time since 1991. So there's a lot here. The reference for putting in the aeration system, we'll talk about that in part 2. But let's talk about fish kills. I did an AI search, and I'm going to add to this. It says fish kills are often caused by low dissolved oxygen, obviously in the water, meaning fish can't breathe enough oxygen from the water, leading to suffocation. This usually happens in warm weather. Now, warm weather, warm water, and warm water contains less oxygen than cold water. That's why a lot of fish kills occur during the summer. And it continues, it happens in warm weather due to high plant algae respiration, using up oxygen at night, decomposition of dead algae, but it's not just that, it's all the organic material that goes into the lake, or stagnant water with signs like fish gasping at the surface. Other causes include pollutants, disease, or temperature extremes, but oxygen depletion is the most common culprit, especially in summer. And it usually occurs when there are a series of cloudy days in the summer in a row, because that would cut down on photosynthesis that generates oxygen, and you start to get fish kills. 2006. Orange County Parks produced a strategic plan for their regional parks in December of 2006, and Mason Park Lake was included. It was called a 9-acre fishing lake. A lot of people go to Mason Park. The report estimated annual attendance at Mason in 2006 at nearly 347,000 visitors. The top of the plan's list for Mason Park's, quote, most critical current facility needs was cleaning the lake to improve fishing experience, the look of the park, and the smell. 2007. A birder who has a blog online reviewed Mason Park in 2007, and she said, the lake was full of algae, which turned it a thick green color. A sign near the lake states that they have a project to clean the algae out of the lake, which will take about 10 months. Let's hope it's soon. It looks pretty bad. This lake is stocked with fish. Model boats cruise the lake as well. 2010. On a fishing forum at bdoutdoors.com, there was a discussion in March of 2010 on the poor fishing possibilities at Mason Park Lake. I found information there that the lake's latest fish kill happened about 2004, after they installed the aeration system. An extended post by a person who worked on the lake under a county contract indicated the maximum water depth was like 4 feet all over. That's pretty close to what it actually is. The bottom was solid organic ooze. Needs a lot of oxygen to decompose it. He indicated die-offs happened there all the time. This was in 2010. So let's talk about how deep Mason Lake is. Since the 2010 fishing website discussed the lake depth, let's talk about it. In the course of my research, online documents from the county, and talking to model sailboaters and park workers, I was given estimates of 4 to 8 feet deep for Mason Lake. Aqua Technex, the company that got that contract, did a depth mapping. That was part of their responsibility for the lakes. Did a depth mapping of Mason Lake on January 19th, 2026, just a couple weeks ago. With permission and thanks to Terry McNabb of Aqua Technex, I show that survey and its result. And this is new material that most people have never seen. And so I was lucky that I looked and saw them unloading the skiff with this outdoor motor into Mason Lake and started taking pictures at a distance with a zoom camera. I was never closer than about 280 feet from the skiff. And as they worked their way around it, I took lots of pictures, and one of them I could actually look and see what they were seeing as they crisscross back and forth the lake, surveying the area. This is the East Lake area. And then they carefully worked their way under the bridge that's there. The tree in front of me made it difficult to have a good focus of the scene, but it gives you an impression. And then here they are on the west side of the lake. In the northeast corner, you can see the fountain on the left of the slide. And their results, drum roll, is they have the resultant depth map shows contour lines in feet of depth. And they're different colors here. So the light whitish colors are from 0 to 2, or up to 2 feet in depth. You kind of think that the edge of a urban pond shouldn't be very deep as a safety factor. And then there is a light green, 2 to less than 3 feet. And then the darker green, 3 to less than 4 feet, 4 to less than 5 feet. Okay? And it's quite apparent that about half of the lake is 3 to less than 4 feet, and the other half approximately is from 4 to less than 5 feet. So there are no contour lines here of 5 feet. So Mason Lake, according to the survey, according to the survey they did recently, probably averages about 4 feet, just like that person on the 2010 fishing blog indicated. 2011. Here we will look at a 2011 PhD thesis, which is available online. I'll put this link and others on the show notes. This is by Tracy McGran, and she studied factors affecting phytoplankton biodiversity and toxin production, PhD from Loma Linda University. She was interested in microcystin toxins as part of a thesis. This is a problem in Mason Lake. So microcystin toxins are produced by certain types of freshwater cyanobacteria, also called blue-green algae, particularly species in the genus Microcystis, which form harmful blooms in warm, nutrient-rich, slow-moving waters, just like Mason. These toxins primarily target the liver, causing damage and can affect humans and animals through contaminated water, ingestion, inhalation, skin contact, or consuming contaminated fish, leading to illness, severe liver and kidney damage, or even death in extreme cases. It can be pretty nasty, these algal blooms. Here's a health warning on a harmful algal bloom in the state of Washington for something called, probably mispronouncing it, Lacamas Lake, Lacamas. And you can see with high amounts of these blue-green algae, the warning is you don't, no contact, no swimming, no pets bathing, no, not even paddling, no drinking water, no fishing. So it's a major concern. And what Tracy did was she sampled for the incidence of these toxins in, quote, 40 lakes, bays, ponds, and lagoons in 5 counties along the Southern California coastline. Of those 40, Mason Lake water in 2010 probably is what she did this, had the highest toxin levels. She also states in her thesis that the major nuisance algal is Microcystis at Mason Regional Park. The 2019 contract between Orange County and Aquatechnics has a table of lake data. Of the 19 Orange County water bodies under review, only Mason Lake showed Microcystis. So that's a prime thing to control. If you want to know more about this blue-green algae, also called a cyanobacteria, go to the iNaturalist website that summarizes its life history, and that's on the show notes, as well as here, all the links. 2026, we'll talk about continuing nutrient inputs at Mason Lake that feed algal blooms if they're left uncontrolled. And we'll talk about the control in part 2. In any case, if you go to Mason, maybe you'll see a vermilion flycatcher on the sign. But this says the main source of Mason Lake's water is reclaimed water. This landscape is irrigated with reclaimed water, as is the lake. It's not just the landscape. Do not drink. Do not drink. It is higher in nutrients than rainwater. Higher in nutrients than rainwater. And the Tracy thesis says, although some of the excess phosphorus, one of the chemicals that algae really would like to get, is due to the use of reclaimed water. The excrement from waterfowl is probably the major source of phosphorus loading on that. And if you're a birder, you know that there's a large bird population at certain times of the year at Mason, and large bird populations give you large amounts of bird poop. And the 3 major ones are American coots, Canada geese, white-faced ibis, especially the geese. So let's take a look at that. In fact, the public keeps complaining about this, and so much that the ranger staff last spring put up an information board called "Why So Much Poo?" This was the spring of 2025 that I took this picture. And they displayed the Canada geese and Egyptian geese that are found in the park. We'll talk about, in part 2, all the ways they try to clear out the pathways of all these bird droppings. Numbers of geese at Mason fluctuate between days and years, but here's what January 11th, 2026, 9:20 a.m. looked like on the southeast side of the lake on the lawn, on the lawn. I hand counted from the video 118 geese and at least 150 coots here from the video. They generate pounds of potential lake fertilizer each day with their droppings. That's wet weight. So we'll start by looking at the lake. There are some northern shovelers there. There are other populations of birds as well. And we're going to start to move to the left. See some Canada geese there. There are a lot of coots we will see. There may be some mallards in here as well as we scan through the flock. I think there are 2 mallards there. And I've seen denser populations of geese at Mason Regional Park. People come out here, they want to see bird populations, and the birding is pretty good. And then a couple of hours later, a small group of ibis joined the party. And I've counted over 400 ibis one day at the park. So though the ibis are in a line there. A group of ibis, by the way, is called a congregation. If you ever see them all feeding together, it really kind of looks like an apt name. There is a component of Mason waterfowl, mostly coots and mallards, that partially subsist on handouts from the public at Mason. People can be seen feeding the birds within close proximity to these signs that say, "Don't do that," as entertainment for their children or just as part of their park routine. I doubt they understand that they are contributing indirectly to the lake's poor water quality possibilities and the cost of control. The vermilion flycatcher, as you can see, also use this sign for a vantage point. It's one of the more striking species that's found in Mason Regional Park. Now let's look at leaves and slopes. Now, if you're designing a park well, you might want to put trees close to the lake, but there is a cost to that. Because when they lose their leaves, where do the leaves go? They go in the water. They may contribute to the biomass at the lake bottom and increase the lake's oxygen demands. Another view of trees by the lake in January. And here's a buildup of fallen leaves in the lake on a windy morning on January 9th, 2026. They tend to float, but given enough time, they will decompose and get waterlogged and sink to the bottom unless removed from the water. And I'll show you in part 2 that they're actually raked out of the lake sometimes. And then another thing in terms of design of lakes, the grounds around Mason Lake, especially around the East Lake, are tilted toward the lake so that rain and irrigation runoff goes into the lake, along with all the built-up nutrients from the large flocks of birds. So let's end with an ecological overview about the lake. Mason Lake is a man-made lake. It opened to the public in 1978. Lakes undergo succession, where over time they're filled in with sediment and organic material, become maybe swamps, marshes, then perhaps filled in more, become a coastal sage scrub habitat in our area. As such, keeping this urban lake for recreational use and providing a pleasant view for park users is a constant fight against the natural processes at work. accelerated by human actions, large bird populations, and there were more populations of birds than just those three, and past lake design decisions. So thanks for watching this video. It is part of a growing set of my YouTube videos on Mason Regional Park. Make sure you see part 2 of this series where I discuss what's being done to maintain the water quality of the lake. So this is another of my JDW talks on YouTube. That's my channel. I now have over 1,000 subscribers to that channel. So join my YouTube channel to enjoy the outdoors of Orange County, California, and be informed when a new video comes online. I have talks on genealogy topics. I wear 2 hats here: census work, Ellis Island, immigration, and naturalization. And much more talks now on natural history topics, virtual birding field trips, birding optics, California birds, and Mason Park nature notes. I also have some of my own interests, novelty zithers, biology songs. I don't know whether you want to hear me sing biology songs, and IKEA net daybed disassembly that I had to do to move to Irvine. And that happens to be one of the videos that gets a lot of traffic. So get out there, enjoy Mason Regional Park, and understand all the factors involved in that experience, giving you that experience. Bye-bye.